Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is Brooks from the North American office of the Organization for Tropical Studies. Hopefully, everyone can hear me. I am going to start my video so you can hopefully also see me. Hello, everyone. And what I'm going to ask is that we get Lisa and Bernard, if you guys have your cameras, turn them on so we can see your smiling faces as we get started here. Everyone should be muted. There will be an opportunity at the end of the orientation for you to ask questions. However, when we get started, we do want to make sure everyone's mics are muted so there's no sounds going on. There's Bernard, there's Lisa. Okay, I will unmute you guys as well. Okay, so again, welcome everyone that's joined us. Again, this is the pre-departure orientation for the Organization for Tropical Studies, Spring 2019 African Ecology and Conservation in South Africa. I'm your host, Brooks Bonner. I have spoken to probably all of you. Maybe there's a few of the South African students that I have not communicated with. However, this is going to be a great opportunity for everyone as they're making their last-minute preparations, what to pack, how many shoes to bring, what kind of suitcase to bring, things like that. This is going to go over some of those items as well as go over kind of a finalized schedule for the semester. And then at the end, we'll go over how the airport pickup is going to go, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. But before we get started, or as we get started, maybe I'd like to just pass the mic over to Lisa and Bernard, who are two of your resident lecturers for your semester in South Africa. You'll be spending a lot of time with them, getting to know them, and maybe each of you could do just a quick introduction of yourselves. What's your background in terms of how long you've been with the program, and some of your research interests as well, and how that relates to what the students will be studying this semester.
Lisa, go for it.
Sure, thanks Brooks, and hi everybody. So I'm Lisa. I teach on the ecology program, mostly teach vertebrate diversity and evolution, and this will be my 5th semester with OTS South Africa, and I'm really excited about it and excited to meet all of you guys. I studied in South Africa. I did my PhD here. I actually studied seabirds, and then made a big change up to the savannah a couple of years ago. So I'll be joining you down in Cape Town where we do some marine ecology, and yeah, really looking forward to the program.
Thanks, guys. I don't know if everyone can hear me. If this makes, is it good? Hey, I'm Bernard. I work on a range of things, mainly birds, mainly ornithology. I have a varied background. I've worked with very small NGOs and very big NGOs in many parts of the world. Traveled extensively in working in conservation. I mainly work in conservation planning and conservation decision making. And so if the things that we're doing in conservation is really making a difference, right? And so that's called conservation evidence. And so that scales well for the kind of work that you're doing in South Africa, but also how is relevant in a global scale, I think. Yeah, so that's the broad brushstroke.
Great, thank you. Thanks both of you. As we get going here, I'm going to pass it off to Lisa and Bernard to kind of go through some of the presentation here, which is pretty basic. Going to go over where you guys are going to go, what are some of the important topics that you'll be looking at in each of those locations. Before we get into that, I just do want to confirm everyone that they do have the correct arrival date. So the program does begin on January 25th. If you do arrive a day early, which is very common, I have communicated with a few of you to arrange some lodging that's close to the airport, which is very common. Some would say even recommended with the amount of travel you'll be doing. It's a chance for you to kind of recover and adjust to the time zone. So again, the 25th, and then the program ends on May 4th. So those are dates to remember. But without further ado, I think I want to pass it off to you guys to kind of just go through some of the sites where you guys will be going. And then when that's done, we can talk about airport pickup, and then ask all types of questions, or answer all types of questions that I'm sure these students have. So I'll pass it off to you two.
All right, super. I mean, I'm happy to kick it off and give a brief breakdown of the sites we're going to visit. And Bernard, do you want to chip in at any stage? You can just jump right in. Cool. So the very first site that we're going to visit is a site called Nailsley. It's a beautiful wetland site. It's a Ramsar site, which you'll learn about in your conservation module. It means it's a site of international importance. And we'll kick off the program there with a bunch of introductory lectures on South Africa and South African ecosystems. And then we will visit a few more sites. I'll run through them a little bit more in detail a little bit later in this presentation. But broad brushstrokes, we'll go to Skukuza and Shingwetsi, which are both in Kruger National Park, which is, yeah, Brooks is pointing it out over there, right in the northeastern part of South Africa. Skukuza is a wetter savanna as opposed to Shingwetsi, which is up further north where it's a bit drier, full of baobab trees and some interesting arid sites up there. After Shingwetsi, we'll go to a site called Hamakuya, which is actually outside the Kruger National Park. That's where you'll be doing your homestays. You'll get an amazing once-in-a-lifetime chance to live with a Venda family, learn to speak Tshivenda and cook Tshivenda food. And it's one of the highlights of the course for many students, that amazing homestay up in the very, very northeastern corner of South Africa, actually very near where our current president comes from, where he grew up. So you'll get familiar with that part of the country. We'll pop back to Skukuza for some more lectures for a few days, and then we'll head all the way across the country, southwest to Cape Town, which is pretty much the longest distance you can travel across South Africa. And in Cape Town, you'll have your spring break, where you'll get to see the sights and sounds of the city. And we'll be staying nearby Cape Town at a place called Buskloof, where you'll learn about fynbos, an indigenous ecosystem in South Africa, a biome actually. And we'll do some marine ecology before we head to the Cedarburg. You can see the Cedarburg Wilderness area on that map, which is also a very special part of South Africa. Beautiful mountains, amazing rivers, freshwater ecosystems. Really is a very wild and special place. And then to round off the course, we'll head all the way back up to Skukuza to back to Kruger National Park, where you will do your final research projects before you head home. I saw that Brooks had a really nice map there up of South African biomes, which is really a nice showcase of the diversity of biomes that we have in South Africa. And you'll see that we cover some really interesting ones from the fynbos and marine ecosystems on the southwestern tip of South Africa into the more arid Cedarburg and succulent Karoo biomes. And then right in the top, we spend a lot of time in different types of savannas in Kruger Park. So that's some of the different kinds of ecosystems you'll be seeing and learning about while you're here. This is a map of South Africa's major protected areas. That green one, thanks Brooks. South Africa has 21 national parks. Kruger is the biggest of those, and you'll learn a lot about the importance of Kruger in that national protected area network, and how important it is for sort of stabilizing South Africa's conservation network. You'll see the other protected areas are scattered all around the country, and we'll visit Table Mountain National Park in Cape Town, and the Cedarburg obviously is covered in that. So you'll get to really see amazing diversity of places when you're here. The next slide is just a breakdown of those dates that I just described to you. So you guys, Bernard, I think sent you the breakdown of the sites and the dates that we're going to be at each site. So this is the summary of those. Most places we spend about 2 weeks or so at each of the sites, and we'll do a mixture of research projects and lectures, biodiversity surveys, and a bunch of other skill sets that you'll learn along the way at each of those sites. We'll write exams, probably in the Cedarburg, and you'll do your, as I said, your final capstone research project in Skukuza during that last long leg there. The rest of this presentation is just sort of a few photos of the different sites. They are more or less in order, I think, Brooks. So the wet savannas up near Nailsflay, you can see a mix of sort of woodland, savanna woodland trees, very mesic savanna there. You can skip through them, Brooks, I think. Super. This is our library at the Skukuza Science Center in Kruger, where you'll spend a lot of your time. And we'll do a lot of workshops and lectures in this space. It's a fairly new building that you're going to call home base while you're here. So you can have a look on Facebook and on the website to see a few more photos of that site if you're interested. And then, of course, while we're in Kruger, you'll see lots of amazing megafauna and mega herbivores. You'll see elephants and giraffe and rhino. We'll do game drives fairly frequently during your time in Skukuza, so you'll really get to embrace the African wildlife safari vibes while you're here as well. This is a picture from further north in the park. You can see a couple of baobabs scattered along the river, and I think the next photo is of the river that we stay on in Hamakuya. Go ahead, Brooks. Yeah, so we stay when we're in Hamakuya at a community-run initiative there, right on the river in the north of the park. Go ahead, Brooks.
Sorry, it's a little delayed on my end. Here we go.
Oh, no problem.
You see it on your end now? It should be a baobab tree, no?
Yeah, cool. You can keep going.
Okay. Bernard, anything you want to add to what Lisa has already covered?
Yeah, I think you know, we have a awesome bunch of sites lined up. I know all this information is coming at you like a wave, right? And you can't quite comprehend all of this. There's a bunch of terms that you've never heard of. A capstone, Hamakuya. I mean, these things don't make any sense right now. But trust us, we'll talk through the protocols in a second. You know, when you arrive at the airport, but we like showing this place off. I think this place. I mean, this country. You know, and so you will. We've done this before. We'll take you through the process, and we're going to show you some really, really cool spots on the planet, not just in the country. Cedarburg. If we're going to add some running commentary, that's Nice part of the world. Oh, yes.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Brooks, thanks for that.
Okay. Well, yeah. So at this point, just going through a few photos that faculty and staff and students have taken over the years. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the arrival, the airport. Many students, that's just kind of a stressful experience. Maybe it's their first time traveling internationally. But I know for all the students that are coming from the US, one thing you want to make sure that you do is a couple things. Number one, you want to print out your orientation packet, which has contact information about the course. If for whatever reason you were to get mixed up or lost, that has some valuable information in it, as well as you want to make sure that you wear your OTS t-shirt that you should have received in the mail. So that way we can, Lisa and Bernard or whoever's there, can quickly identify you. Even if you don't see us, we can see you. But the idea is that we'll have, sorry, maybe you guys should talk about it since you guys are the ones that actually will be there.
No, Brooks, that's spot on. So, just it's like going through customs in a if you've traveled before in another country or whatever, you just want all your documentation in place. South Africa is not a particularly hard border to cross. The people are pretty chill and whatnot. You just want to make sure when you enter that you have your visa extension for the time that we're running the program. When you exit the doors after clearing customs, there will be a staff member. It's very likely that it'll be me, and I'll send you a photo on WhatsApp so you can recognize my face, and we'll be there right at the door to give you a warm welcome and say how's it. How's it means hello in South African speak. So we'll greet you there. I'll send an email in a day or two about the exact protocol for the arrivals. And so some people are arriving at different times and you might be at different places. So some of the South African students are coming from different, local flights, whatever the case is. But we'll meet you there at the airport and physically, and then we'll take you to the accommodation. And then we'll kick the program off from there.
Anything you want to add, Lisa?
No, I think that's perfect. We have never had any issues not being able to find students, so don't feel worried. You're actually easier to spot than you think with or without your OTS t-shirts. And yeah, so you'll jump on a shuttle from the airport and head to the backpackers, where we'll have dinner ready for you, so you don't have to stress about food. And yeah, you'll settle in, get to know each other at the backpackers, and then the program will kick off the next morning.
Can you guys talk a little bit about, so a lot of students have questions when they arrive. Should they buy a SIM card? Should they get money? If they forget something, will there be an opportunity to buy toothpaste or deodorant or whatever, maybe a hat if they got to bring that? Will there be an opportunity for students to do that?
Yeah, of course. I'll deal with one or two of the things that Brooks mentioned. We always have very big discussions about SIM cards and internet connectivity. I think where we are at the moment is that we highly recommend that you do purchase a South African SIM card at the airport while we're there. It's your best opportunity to do it, and it will probably make your lives easier. It's relatively inexpensive to buy some data and stick that on your SIM card. So the program covers your internet costs as far as research is involved, but we don't encourage you to use the internet that we have for huge downloads and streaming. It will, if you use up the bandwidth, you will slow down the internet for everybody. So we highly recommend purchasing yourself a SIM card at the airport. You'll have your passport with you, so you can easily register that or recap that, and put some data on there. I would estimate the price of data at the moment. When's the last time I bought data? it's about, I would say about 20 Rand per gig. So you can work that out in dollars divided by 14, like, I don't know. So it's relatively inexpensive for you to buy quite a lot of data. Then in terms of cash, the airport's your best bet for drawing a bit of money for the program. Last semester, we recommended 1,500 Rand. You can draw out from an ATM just using your card. Some of that money we will request as an equipment deposit, and that's to incentivize you to look after the equipment while you're here. So I think that's 600 Rand each that the teaching assistant will collect from you in the first couple of days. So take that into account when you draw that money. And that cash you will be, well, obviously all of your meals are provided by us, so that cash is to buy yourself snacks or treats or curios or those kinds of things. What was the other thing? There was one more thing.
Sorry, Bernard.
Yeah, and just to emphasize that we will be there literally to take you to the place that sells the medicine and the plugs and the ATM machine with the cash, right? So don't worry about that stuff now. We'll walk you through this whole process when you have your boots on the ground. The key thing is just to get there, and then let's kick this off.
Perfect. I think one other thing that some students forget to do is let their banks know that they're traveling internationally, so that there isn't a hold placed on your account. So that's important, as well as it's important to communicate with your family members and friends that there will be times throughout this semester where you're not going to have connectivity to the internet. There are still ways where if there's an emergency that we can contact the appropriate people. However, do let them know that there's times, for example, when you're in Hamakuya and your homestay, there's not going to be internet connectivity. So your parents or your family may try to contact you and they will be unsuccessful. So do let them know. Make sure that they have a copy of that orientation packet as well. It's available on the website, on the program page, and that explains each site that we go to, what kind of connectivity options you have there, whether it's an internet cafe, whether there's phone use, whatnot. So that's important to share with family and friends so that they know that you haven't just gone missing, so that that's part of the design and part of the program.
Sure.
Let's see. I think that's everything that I had initially to cover. Oh, the only other thing, Lisa mentioned something about your cost for food. So that's all covered in the program. The only time where you might need some additional money is, like she said, if you wanted to buy snacks, or some people buy candy and things like that. But also during spring break, we will provide lodging. However, we don't provide your food and transportation during that time. So whatever activities you decide to do or wherever you decide to eat, that is on your record. So do remember that. And I believe that there is on the website as well, there is an estimator for how much you can expect to spend during that time. And obviously there's a wide range depending on what you like to do, but do take that into consideration. Okay, well, that is what I wanted to go over with the presentation. So now I kind of want to open it up, and once I switch out of sharing my screen here, I'd like to open it up for questions. So in order to do so, you should be able to raise your hand in the chat window there. And if you do have a question, I can unmute you and you can ask your question to the group. We will answer it to the best of our abilities. Most of these questions I'm sure we've heard before, but you never know, there could be a question that's new even for us. So please do raise your hand if you do have a question, and we can get those answered. So I think Terrence has a question. So let me get you unmuted there. Terrence, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Great. Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Hi. I just want to say thank you guys so much. The orientation is really opened my eyes to a lot of the stuff we're doing. I do have two questions. One of them's not like a question. I don't know if it's gonna be an issue, but I originally thought the program was January 25th to May 3rd. So I booked my flight for May 3rd leaving. It's at 7:55 p.m. because on one of the schedules, I think it was the one you showed in your presentation too, it said May 3rd departure. So that's why I thought we were leaving on May 3rd. I don't know if I can change that to my airline, or is that going to be an issue?
What time is your flight, Terrence, on the 3rd?
7:55 p.m.
Yeah, Terrence, no worries. You needn't change your flight. If you've already booked it, we'll accommodate you, and it'll be good.
Okay, sorry about that. I got confused because it said I thought May 4th was the day like we were all supposed to be gone, so I booked it for May 3rd. Sorry about that.
No worries. We can make a plan.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question was, I know that you guys mentioned about the money. I was wondering, would you guys recommend us already having American cash to just be able to trade it in, or is the ATM a lot easier?
Yeah, when I travel, I prefer to just use a credit card. It's easy enough there's a variety of banks. The one thing that might snag you is if you don't activate, like Brooke said, if you don't activate your card for international travel. So that's really important, right? So your bank needs to know that you're traveling overseas. But other than that, you can just rock up and draw rands, right? Our local currency. As a rule, I usually, have $100 with me when I travel, just as an emergency. But it's not really necessary. Like I say, we'll meet you at the airport. If you can't get the cash at the moment, at that time, it's not a problem. We'll sort you out. There, a couple of ways we can deal with that. So it's not a deal breaker. You know what I mean? If you rock up at that 8 a.m. at the day when you're all jet lagged and you're so exhausted and tired and you can't get the cash out, don't worry about it. We'll sort you out. We try and give you a very soft landing when you arrive. We'll take you through all this process. We've been through a lot of custom issues, visa issues, that kind of thing. It's not a problem. On that issue, if you arrive a bit later because of visa problems, it doesn't affect the program. We'll make plans to get you when you arrive later, for instance. We've really covered every eventuality. Okay,
thank you so much. I have one more question. Sorry. I don't know if it's still a question, but I was wondering, are we gonna be able to wash clothes while we're there? Is that because I never read anything about that in the orientation packet at all? Like, is that an option?
Yeah, no, we don't wash any clothes ever.
Okay, I was wondering.
Never wash any clothing.
Sorry.
No, yes, of course. Sorry, I'm just. You'll see when you get to know me. I'm always going to rip people. Yes, there'll be. It depends on the site, and so some sites it's hand washing, and so there's no washing machines. It's the staff do the same thing. We wash clothes by hand. Also, other sites the washing machines itself, and we can do the regular washing machine deal. Other sites we close to a city, and we can take your clothes to a laundromat. My advice is to really reduce the amount of clothing you're going to bring. We'll wash regularly, that kind of thing. So there'll be a lot of facility for that.
Okay, that was it. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thanks, Terrence. Good sport. Okay, other questions? I know we got questions out there. Let's see. No questions? Oh, I will say while you're thinking about what kind of questions you need to ask, if for whatever reason, I've spoken to many of you about the process for your visas. and I mentioned to a few of you, worst case scenario, if you don't get the visa in time, it's not a problem. You can normally still get through customs, get a 90-day visa, and then we will work with you to get an extension. So just make sure that you do have your passport. If for whatever reason you fail to get the visa, it's not the end of the world. We will sort things out on our end. So don't stress about that if it doesn't come through. But do let me know if I haven't heard from you when this is over. Please shoot me an email. Let me know that you have received it. If you haven't let me know already, that's important for our records. There also may be a way that we can expedite the process. So do remember that when you're getting your visas. I think most of you have done a great job. And as every semester encounters, there are new obstacles to overcome. So everyone has been very patient throughout this. So that's great. Okay. I'm not seeing any hands or any questions about what to bring, what to pack. I know some students ask questions about what type of luggage. Looks like Jessica has a question. So Jessica, are you there? Hello, Jessica. Can't hear you, Jessica.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are.
You are, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So thanks, sorry. My question is about host gifts. So I was talking to a student who did the program last year, and she said that she brought a host gift, I think from home. Do we need to bring gifts for the homestay from home, or is that something that we could buy there?
I'm happy to jump in on that one. So you'll be heading to your homestay after a leg in Skukuza and in Chingwetsi. So we encourage you to buy gifts for your host families that are either of an educational nature for kids, because there will inevitably be a few kids at your homestay that you'll get to know pretty well. And we like to encourage responsible gifting along those lines. Certainly there'll be time, we'll do a couple of trips to the shops before we head into Skukuza. So there'll be time at a normal shopping mall to buy those things when you get here. And we can discuss it a little further during the intro talks in Nailsley. But you'll definitely get a chance to do it here. Other popular gifts are sort of sports related, so soccer balls are a popular choice. And there's been a lot of discussion about clothing and secondhand clothing, because many of the families that you'll stay with don't have access to some of those privileges that we're used to. So we can talk a little bit more about it at the beginning of the program while you're settling in, and there'll definitely be an opportunity to pick something up before you head up north to Chingwetsi and Hamakoye.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, I'm arriving a day early, and I was considering staying at the City Lodge Hotel. Seems like it's very close to the airport, within walking distance. Is there a reason why that one wasn't recommended? Like, is there a reason why I shouldn't stay there?
No, I think that's great. What we usually advise people to do then is to just come back to international arrivals during the next day, and we'll be there for big chunks of that day, and you can meet us there at arrivals unless you would like to make your way to the backpackers where we're going to be staying. I did post its location and website on Facebook today, so you can pick it up there. Bernard, what do you think? Either of those work fine, I think.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Yeah, so it's you're welcome to arrive a day early, whatever. Just take a break and take it easy. Probably best then if you meet us at the bus terminal, but I will email you these details exactly where that spot is, right? So you can just find us there. will be in the area as well. I think the important thing is just to emphasize that we'll start a WhatsApp group. We'll have all your cell phone details. We're going to hunt you down. Don't worry, we'll find you. We're going to put you in the backpackers. It'll be all good. Okay. We won't race until you're all safe at Emerald.
Absolutely, and there is free Wi-Fi at the airport. So we'll be able to contact you on that WhatsApp group even before you buy a SIM card, if you still have your American SIM card in.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then I have one last question about like adapters for plugging in like phone chargers to a wall. What kind of adapters should I bring?
We'll get it at the airport. That's the easy way. There's a continental adapter that works from most European and US and South American countries to South Africa. That's one option. So you can buy that at a store. Other option is that we just, when you arrive and you're jet lagged and tired, we just take you to the store and you can buy an American to South African adapter quite easily and cheaply.
I'll post the details on Facebook as well, because it's kind of hard to explain in words what the differences between the plugs are. So I'll just post some photographs so you know what you're looking for if you would like to get it beforehand. But Ben is right, you can pick it up easily at the airport.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm very excited. And that's the end of my questions.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Jessica. Okay. Good questions there. The adapter, that's one I forgot about. Okay, other questions? Anyone else out there? This is your last chance.
One of the other things that often comes up is around transport and accommodation at the different sites. So maybe I should just quickly talk through some of that.
Yeah, we got a couple hands raised, but yeah, go ahead. And then we'll get to those when you're done.
I'll be very brief. There was a question online about whether or not you had to book flights between the field sites during the program, and I answered that saying no, it's all booked for you. So we'll travel between the north, east, and the southwest by airplane, and then in each of those places you'll travel around in sort of either minibuses or what's called a game drive vehicle, a GDV. It's an open top vehicle that we use when we're inside Kruger Park. And then the type of accommodation and number of people that you'll be sharing with is quite varied across the different sites. There are some places where we'll be camping. There are some places where you'll be sharing dorm rooms. There's some places where you'll stay in really beautiful tourist accommodation. So yeah, it's quite varied, and you'll get to know each other really well.
Great, thanks, Lisa. Okay, so it looks like Tim has a question. Oops, hold on, let me see here. I lost you, Tim. Okay, Tim, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I've got two questions. My first one is just, is there a pharmacy at Skukuza for antihistamines and headache tablets?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then secondly, you just mentioned that we might be camping in some places. Should I bring a camping mattress with me?
No, all the tents and mattresses will be provided. But you'll need a sleeping bag. You'll see that a sleeping bag and pillow are on your packing list. So do bring those.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very
Tim.
much.
Maybe if I can expand, it's an important question, right? So can you get your medicines and medical care in Skukuza, for instance? Yes. So there are two doctors on call or one doctor on call at 24/7 in Skukuza. There's a full pharmacy that they run. from the offices. We really strongly advise that you bring all your personal medicine with you. So if that's antihistamines or malarial
Any
medicine,
prescription drugs.
Say again?
So I was just going to say, any prescription drugs, make sure that you bring all that you will need for the entire time there.
For sure. But if it's an emergency, there are professionals to help you out. In Skukuza, at least, we also travel with an extensive medical kit, both with first aid equipment and medicine itself. All the staff are trained in first aid at a basic level, and some of the staff are trained at a more advanced level. So yeah, we can take care of those sort of concerns for sure.
Thanks very much.
Okay, great. Thanks for the question, Tim. Okay, it looks like Scott has a question. And okay, Scott, are you there?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, great to hear from you guys. I just have a question about just general day-to-day in the life of the OTS South Africa program. So what's like the general schedule going to look like for us?
Good question.
Lisa, you want to grab that one?
It's going to be probably variable, but just wanted to know.
Very variable. Bernard, go ahead if you want.
Yeah, so look, I mean, it's the general schedule is, I mean, I struggle. I give some presentations in the US about what the day-to-day looks like on ODS, and there's no day-to-day. There's no day that is going to look similar, and we design it that way. That's the purpose. And so most days you might get up with doing a game drive. You might come back and have breakfast. There'll be lectures. There might be some workshops in statistics or GIS. You might have some free time. You'll have lunch. You might take a nap, you'll take a bit of a chill. We'll try and get you to the pool because it's extremely hot here at the moment. Prepare yourselves, it's going to be crazy. There's a huge transition coming from the cold US to Skukuza. We are melting, literally. Yeah, so day to day, that was the informal answer. The formal answer is that we try and do the schedule. So we've sent you like a broad schedule of the places we'll be over the next couple of months, and we try and break that down by a week-to-week basis, so you know what we are doing at which places, where, and then we, on a 2 to 3 day basis, give you the schedule up ahead, so you know how to plan your day and what to do. The first week on the course at Nailsflay is all orientation, right? It's to take us through the whole process of how we run our day-to-day business, how things work, how to prepare yourself, some of the absolute freedoms that you could expect on the semester that you won't ever get at a university, and some of the constraints that our program also has, because we live and work in some remote areas. And for instance, if we're in Skukuza, you can't walk around outside of the rest camp that's fenced, because there's big game that poses a danger regularly. And so the day-to-day, I got to tell you, is very varied, and that's the best I can answer.
Okay, and on that note about just like what to expect from field sites, so of course there's malaria, but but are there any things like tick-borne illnesses that we have to be concerned with?
Yes, there are, and so we've gone through a period of a bunch of droughts, but now there's been a lot of rain, and so when we in Skukuza especially, there's going to be a good grass flushing. So a lot of grass is growing up and coming up, and that means ticks. And so when you're here, we'll take you through some of the protocols on how to prepare yourself when you're in the field to deal with ticks. I personally, I always walk in short pants, like cut-off pants. I don't recommend that for students. I think if you can bring one of those quick drying long pants that you can tuck into your socks and your boots, they'll be a lot better. And we have some homegrown remedies to keep the ticks off you. stock up on, you know, anti-insect spray if you want. We'll have some like puppy shampoo also to wash your socks in. That works really well. But yeah, so there might be ticks. We run these courses all the time. There are ticks all the time for sure. But we really have tick bite fever.
Okay, gotcha. That's all the questions I had. Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Okay, looks like Mike's got a question. Mike, you there?
Yeah, thanks, Brooks. I was just looking at the packing list and it says smaller travel bag. What type of bag would you recommend for this? Is it a suitcase or backpack?
You mean to travel in general? Like what should you pack?
Right. It's so we have the larger suitcase for taking everything in, obviously, and then there's another one that says smaller travel bag. So I'm.
Yeah, so I mean, like when I travel, I prefer like a big duffel bag, like one bag I can just stuff in, and I can put that on my back or over my shoulder, and I can carry it. I wouldn't recommend like those big square suitcases to pack all your stuff in, because you have to carry your gear some of the time. For the smaller bag, it's a day pack, right? So something you can carry in the field, something that can have a bit of water and maybe some fuel gear. Let's say about a 20 to 30 liter pack that can carry some of your stuff. I would, on that note, advise that you pack as light as possible. Everyone overpacks always, right? You pack so much stuff. You think you need this and that. You need a bottle of shampoo, or you need 2 liters of detergent, or whatever the case is. We can buy all that stuff in South Africa, pack just the essential gear, and we can take it from there. But for that little pack, it's sort of a day pack that you can wear in the field and then, take out into the city if you need be.
Yeah, I just had a look at that packing list, and it says it mentions a backpack separately from that smaller travel bag. So, I mean, I don't think it's probably, I think where it comes from is that the baggage allowance when we fly domestically is lower than it is when you fly internationally. So that bag might help. It's actually not really necessary to bring that smaller travel bag. If you can fit everything in a big bag, then that's actually fine. But Bernard's point about a comfortable day pack for fieldwork is important.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Mike?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, so just one large bag to put all your stuff in, and then make sure you have a day pack to bring along lunch, water, field equipment. So, okay, other questions out there? These are some good questions. I know many of you are preparing, but Lisa, did you have something to add?
I'm surprised we haven't received any questions about food and meals yet, but I would just plant that seed. I saw there were a few vegetarians and vegans on the list.
Maybe you want to talk a little bit about how we can accommodate.
Yeah, sure, of course. Usually the questions are similar. So I mentioned already that all of your meals are prepared for you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. We have a catering team that travels with us, amazing team of people that cook your food and our food as we go, and they have had much experience. I think they've run courses in the double figures, so at least, I don't know, 15 or 20 courses, this catering company. So they've encountered vegetarians and vegans before, and they're very good at their jobs and at feeding all of us, sometimes in the most spectacular way. We're in remote places. They really pull some magic together. But every now and then, especially vegan and vegetarians are a bit worried about the types of food that they're getting. And I want to reassure everybody that that is something that you can bring to us and talk to us about. We can make sure that if you have particular preferences, that the caterers are aware of it and that they can cater to those needs. So don't feel distressed. You're not going to go hungry. There's lots of food, and the catering company is very flexible and open to new ideas and suggestions. And occasionally, we even encourage students to share their culinary prowess with us, and you guys can cook a meal or two if you're feeling creative. So think about that as well.
Great, thanks, Lisa. Okay, well, we're approaching the hour mark. I wanted to cut this off at an hour, but if there's no other questions, I think we can kind of end it here. I think just make sure you notify me or any of us, and all of us, that you have your visa. If there are any other questions that come up, please let us know. No question is a dumb question. And also make sure that you're printing out that orientation packet and bringing it with you, and that you download that WhatsApp app if you don't already have it. Other than that, Lisa, Bernard, anything else you want to add in closing?
Yeah, just if you have any last minute questions, give us a shout on Facebook or send us an email. We are all ears. And yeah, so we're spending the next, 10 days gearing up in South Africa, getting the site ready for you guys, planning all of our research projects, and getting excited about the semester. So yeah, keep in touch with us, and as you travel, we'll be ready for you when you get here.
Thanks, Lisa. Hey, Bernard, actually, that reminds me. Maybe, Bernard, you could talk just for a second about kind of the research or aspect of the program, how that all works, how that's designed, maybe give a few examples of what students have done in the past. That might be helpful for some students.
For sure. So in a nutshell, what we try and do is ramp up your research as you go along in the program. And so some of the first work you'll do is student design, but it'll be very simple. And then we try and lock you with some of us as faculty to do a bit more longer term research projects. And so we'll guide you through what we think. And I'll give some examples of the kind of projects in a second. And then as we move along in the program, we invite faculty from other universities, other programs, different perspectives, different places to try and teach you their perspective, right? To get you a more holistic research experience. And then towards the end, and Nis mentioned this, it's called the capstone project. And so that's where it's student-driven work, right? And so that's the real cherry on the cake, where you design your own work, you make their own questions, we give the equipment, we give the resources, we are on hand to help you, but it's your own research, it's your own research project, right? And so the kind of projects we work on are very varied, right? And they vary, of course, with the faculty. So my strengths, for instance, are ornithology, so I mainly work on birds and that kind of work. I do a bit of plant research and trait research, and so I try and link phylogenetic traits of birds, for instance, or plants to the environment and try and understand community ecology. I won't speak for Lisa, but she's very strong in phylogenetic research as well. She does a lot of genetics, small rodent research, for instance, and so we can get out there and jab small rodents. We can also do reptiles, that kind of work. We have Donovan Tai, who's a faculty member that's not online at the moment, but he works a lot on acoustic work, and so he tries to put out sensors for bats and birds, for instance. Lawrence Kruger, who runs the program, is a botanist by training, and so he does a lot of work on plant traits, for instance, and how plants function with ecosystems, and our elephants might try and alter that, or our elephants alter that kind of work. And so initially I think, that's a very, very quick overview. I think if you really want to more in-depth discussion, please go look at the website, the OTS website. So we have an overview of the faculty that's aboard, what our interests are. It might be good for you to look up the academic staff that you will be working with, especially myself, Lisa, Lawrence, and Don. Their kind of papers, what they're interested in, what they've published, what kind of work they are, what kind of work they do, that kind of thing. So you have a feel for our work. I can't, for instance, work well in behavioral ecology. I'm just not trained as a behavioral ecologist, so it's not my field. But yeah, so we can accommodate a lot of things. At the beginning of the course, it's very much sort of almost not prescriptive, but trying to use different model organisms to teach you the fundamentals of science, the fundamentals of ecology. And we might use frogs, and we might use bivalves, and we might use Colembala, which is a small living microinvertebrate in the soil. But as we progress through the course, what we really want to get to you and have you take ownership on is your own ideas, and we'll really try and facilitate that. Yeah.
Great, thanks. Sorry to spring that on you, Bernard.
No, not at all. And what I'm curious about is, like, no one has questions about what the field work is like, right? So you're standing there and you're measuring your plants, and a lion comes at you, right? What do you do? And like, nobody has a question about that, right? And so this happens. You're standing there and there's an elephant, and you have to deal with that situation.
So what do you do? I'll ask it. If there's an elephant, for example.
We'll take you through it when you're here.
I think you tried last time.
No, so I mean, I mean that lightheartedly, but really we look forward to hosting you. I unashamedly am a ambassador for this program and for South Africa. I look forward to really show this off to you. Really, I can't wait. I can't wait to have you see this. I can't wait to have you see a hyena puppy, right, suckling on its mom, or an elephant, or beautiful flowers, grass, birds. I mean, I'm an ornithologist. I know some of you have emailed me with a keen interest on ornithology. Please buy the guidebooks, study your field guides if you want. Let's make the most of it.
Well said. Well said. Well, on that note, I think we will end it here. If there are no other questions, thank you again for everyone, Bernard, Lisa, for joining us. Thanks for all the students that got online. And we are recording this, and we will try to share this either later today or tomorrow. See if we can post it to the Facebook group as well. So if anyone was not able to make it, or missed early on, or missed a portion, we can share it that way. Okay. See everybody soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Brooks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.